free from all fear over the gross work. Follow my counsel, and never engage married men, for they soon give in and pretend they are tired out. Hire your workmen for certain stipulated wages, and not for longer periods than 24 hours at a time. Give them higher wages than they would receive elsewhere, and be prompt and ready in your payments." Many accounts are given by alchemical writers of the agent, and many names are bestowed on it. The author of A Brief Guide to the Celestial Ruby speaks thus of the agent: "It is our doorkeeper, our balm, our honey, oil, urine, May-dew, mother, egg, secret furnace, oven, true fire, venomous dragon, Theriac, ardent wine, green lion, bird of Hermes, goose of Hermogenes, two-edged sword in the hand of the cherub that guards the tree of life. It is our true secret vessel, and the garden of the sages in which our sun rises and sets. It is our royal mineral, our triumphant vegetable Saturnia, and the magic rod of Hermes, by means of which he assumes any shape he likes." Sometimes we are told that the agent is mercury, sometimes that it is gold, but not common mercury or common gold. "Supplement your common mercury with the inward fire which it needs, and you will soon get rid of all superfluous dross. The agent is gold, and as highly matured as natural and artificial digestion can make it, and 1,000 times more perfect than the common metal of that name. Gold thus exalted radically penetrates, tinges, and fixes metals." The alchemists generally likened the work to be performed by their agent to the killing of a living thing. They constantly used the allegory of death, followed by resurrection, in describing the steps whereby the essence was to be obtained, and the processes whereby the baser metals were to be partially purified. They speak of the mortification of metals, the dissolution and putrefaction of substances, as preliminaries to the appearance of the true life of the things whose outward properties have been destroyed. For instance, Paracelsus says, "Destruction perfects that which is good, for the good cannot appear on account of that which conceals it." The same alchemist speaks of rusting as the mortification of metals. He says, "The mortification of metals is the removal of their bodily structure. The mortification of woods is their being turned into charcoal or ashes." Paracelsus distinguishes natural from artificial mortification. "Whatever nature consumes," he says, "man cannot restore, but whatever man destroys, man can restore, and break again when restored." Things which had been mortified by man's device were considered by Paracelsus not to be really dead. He gives this extraordinary illustration of his meaning: "You see this is the case with lions, which are all born dead, and are first vitalized by the horrible noise of their parents, just as a sleeping person is awakened by a shout." The mortification of metals is represented in alchemical books by various images and allegories. Figure 1 is reduced from a cut in a 16th century work, "The Book of Lambspring, a noble ancient philosopher concerning the philosophical stone." Reader's note: Figure 1 has the title, "Here the Father devours the Son, the soul and spirit flow forth from the body." End reader's note. The image used to set forth the mortification of metals is a king swallowing his son. Figures 2 and 3 are reduced from Basil Valentine's 12 Keys. Both of these figures represent the process of mortification by images connected with death and burial. In his explanation of these figures, Basil Valentine says, "Neither human nor animal bodies can be multiplied or propagated without decomposition. The grain and all vegetable seed, when cast into the ground, must decay before it can spring up again. Moreover, putrefaction imparts life to many worms and other animalculae. If bread is placed in honey and suffered to decay, ants are generated. Maggots are also developed by the decay of nuts, apples, and pears. The same thing may be observed in regard to vegetable life. Nettles and other weeds spring up where no such seed has ever been sown. This occurs only by putrefaction. The reason is that the soil in such places is so disposed, and, as it were, impregnated, that it produces these fruits, which is a result of the properties of sidereal influences. Consequently, the seed is spiritually produced in the earth, and putrefies in the earth, and by the operation of the elements generates corporeal matter according to the species of nature. Thus the stars and the elements may generate new spiritual, and ultimately new vegetable, seed by means of putrefaction. Know that, in like manner, no metallic seed can develop or multiply, unless the said seed by itself alone, and without the introduction of any foreign substance, be reduced to a perfect putrefaction. The action of the mineral agent in perfecting substances is often likened by the alchemists to the conjoining of the male and the female, followed by the production of offspring. They insist on the need of a union of two things in order to produce something more perfect than either. The agent, they say, must work upon something. Alone it is nothing. The methods whereby the agent is itself perfected, and the processes wherein the agent effects the perfecting of the less perfect things, were divided into stages by the alchemists. They generally spoke of these stages as gates, and enumerated 10 or sometimes 12 of them. As examples of the alchemical descriptions of these gates, I give some extracts from A Brief Guide to the Celestial Ruby. The first gate is calcination, which is the drying up of the humours. By this process the substance is concocted into a black powder, which is yet unctuous, and retains its radical humour. When gold passes through this gate, we observe in it two natures, the fixed and the volatile, which we liken to two serpents. The fixed nature is likened to a serpent without wings, the volatile to a serpent with wings. Calcination unites these two into one. The second gate, dissolution, is likened to death and burial, but the true essence will appear glorious and beautiful when this gate is passed. The worker is told not to be discouraged by this apparent death. The Mercury of the sages is spoken of by this author as the Queen, and gold as the King. The King dies for love of the Queen, but he is revived by his spouse, who is made fruitful by him, and brings forth a most royal son. Figures 4 and 5 are reduced from the Book of Lambspring. They express the need of the conjunction of the two to produce one. Reader's note: Figure 4 is titled, "Here you behold a great marvel. Two lions are joined into one. The spirit and soul must be united in their body." End reader's note. After dissolution came conjunction, wherein the separated elements were combined. Then followed putrefaction, necessary for the germination of the seed, which had been produced by calcination, dissolution, and conjunction. Putrefaction was followed by congelation and citation. The passage through the next gate, called sublimation, caused the body to become spiritual, and the spiritual to be made corporal. Fermentation followed, whereby the substance became soft and flowed like wax. Finally, by exaltation, the stone was perfected. Reader's note: Figure 5 is titled, "Here are two birds, great and strong, the body and spirit. One devours the other. Let the body be placed in horse dung or a warm bath, the spirit having been extracted from it. The body has become white by the process, the spirit red by our art. All that exists tends towards perfection, and thus is the philosopher's stone prepared." End reader's note. The author of the Open Entrance speaks of the various stages in the perfecting of the agent as regimens. The beginning of the heating of gold with mercury is likened to the king stripping off his golden garments, and descending into the fountain. This is the regimen of mercury. As the heating is continued, all becomes black. This is the regimen of Saturn. Then is noticed a play of many colours. This is the regimen of Jupiter. If the heat is not regulated properly, the young ones of the crow will go back to the nest. About the end of the 4th month you will see the sign of the waxing moon, and all becomes white. This is the regimen of the moon. The white colour gives place to purple and green. You are now in the regimen of Venus. After that appear all the colours of the rainbow, or of a peacock's tail. This is the regimen of Mars. Finally the colour becomes orange and golden. This is the regimen of the Sun. The reader may wish to have some description of the essence. The alchemists could describe it only in contraries. It had a bodily form, but its method of working was spiritual. In the Sodic Hydrolith, or Water Stone of the Wise, we are told, "The stone is conceived below the earth, born in the earth, quickened in heaven, dies in time, and obtains eternal glory. It is bluish grey and green. It flows like water,